Welcome to this edition of Tigunia TipTok. My name is Dave Weiser, and we're going to be talking today about a little known function within the GL budget scenario, and that is the ability to copy budgets. Copy budgets from other budgets, copy budgets from your actual GL data, and actually manipulate the data as you're copying it. So we're going to talk about that just for a minute. So in order to go there, we're going to go to the GL budgets, and I can create a new one just in creating a new budget. And at that point, once we've created a new budget, we want to open it up, and from here we can actually make the copies that we want to. I'm only going to look at 4 accounts for right now, but I'm going to copy data from my actual GL entry table, the actual transactions that were posted, and use that as a budget. As you're preparing a budget from year to year, sometimes you'll use the current budget and update it. Sometimes you'll use the actual data that you've posted and update it from there. This just gives you that starting point where you can use that data and bring it in. So we're going to actually use actual GL data, but we're only going to look at these 4 accounts, and when we bring in that data, just so that we can minimize the effort that we're looking at. Once we've got a clean budget here, we want to come up here to budget and go to copy budget. When you click on that, this dialog box option screen opens so that you can select what you want to. In this case, the source is going to be GL entries. You'll see if I click on the down box, I can select either from a GL entry or from another budget. If I selected another budget, I would obviously have to select what budget am I copying from. But in this case, I'm going to leave it at the GL entry table. I'm going to select the accounts that I want to use and also the date range. I'm just going to select a very finite range of data so I can copy that. I don't want to include any closing entries. I'm not going to deal with dimensions on this copy. There's another TipTok video that talks about dimensions within the budgets and how you can use those. We're not going to do that here. Identify then what budget we're copying to from that data. Now, from that standpoint, that's very easy. You can actually run the process right now and it'll copy transactions. The problem is with that is it just basically takes those GL entries and it copies them into your budget. And you might not want that level of detail, especially if you've got a lot of transactions that you're trying to bring over. In this case, we want to take those transactions and we want to combine them and adjust them a little bit. And so we're going to talk about what these adjustment factors do. Now, before we do that, I want to share with you kind of the slice of data that we're going to be dealing with. So as you can see here, we're dealing with 4 accounts. We're dealing with very limited data. And in this account, these are the actual transactions that were posted. So you can see I've got a couple of transactions posted to 40200, half a dozen posted to 50100, and then a couple posted to these other transactions. So when we bring those in, we don't want to bring in individual transactions into the GL budget. And if I just hit go from right now on copying the budgets, that's what would happen. In this case, I want to actually do a couple of things. One is I want to combine them. I want to combine them on a monthly basis. I want to take all of the transactions, for example, for 40200, and instead of bringing in a $2,500 transaction and a $40 transaction, I want to bring in one transaction for $2,540. In addition to that, I'm also going to create a factor, which means I'm going to increase my budget by a certain factor. So it may be that your budget, in fact, some companies do this, your budget might want to be, I want to use my current year results, but I want to increase them by 5% for next year. And that's going to be my budget. And so you can do that. And especially as a starting point, that might be a good way of doing it. And then in addition to that, I don't necessarily like dollars and pennies, so I'm going to actually round it also. So you can see here's the transactions that I want to bring in, and the final results are going to be what is in column L here, which is combined, factored up, increased, and then rounded. And so we'll see that with those transactions as we get them brought in. So let's minimize that and take a look at these adjustment factors. So this first thing is the adjustment factor, which I have 1.05. So in this case, I'm going to take those transactions and I'm going to increase them by 5%. If I just wanted to leave them alone, I would put a factor of 1, which would be no adjustments up or down. I can also go 0.95 or 0.90 if I wanted to lower the budget by a certain percentage. But just that adjustment factor will change the value that you're using. Also, what do I want to round by? In this case, I'm going to round by tens. You have other options, whether you want to round to thousands or hundreds or whole numbers. In this case, tens are just fine. I also want to do a date change formula of 2 years. As you can see here, I'm bringing in data from 2020, and I'm bringing it into a budget that I'm going to use for 2022. So this is a 2-year date change formula that I want to put in place. And then also this last adjustment here, as I mentioned, I want to compress the data for a particular month. So all of the transactions for a month, I just want to bring into one. You can see the other options. I can compress it by day, week, month, quarter, year. In this case, month is pretty standard. So with these adjustments, I'm going to go ahead and click OK. The system's going to say, do you want to start? Yep. It was very quick, obviously, because I had very limited data. And you can see now that it brought in the budget transactions. And if I bring up my Excel file again, you'll see that the amounts were just perfect for June. So 2670, 8930, 370, and 260 were the amounts that I was anticipating as a result of copying over that data, increasing it by 5%, and then rounding the tens, all for June. This is June 2020, where the source was, and you can see it dropped it into my June 2022 budget. So this is a cool feature that you can use to at least get a starting point for your budget, and then you can manipulate it from there. I mean, once I've got that data, I can drill into it and say, I don't like, the 2670. Maybe I want to make it something else, so I can go in and I can edit that list, and I can say I want that to be 2700. So you can do that if you want. Go back to your data and it's there. You can make whatever changes you need to, but at least you've got a starting point for being able to create that budget. And oftentimes that's the hardest part for creating the budget, is creating that starting point, so at least you have something to work with. So hopefully that helps you a little bit with budgets and starting budgets and copying budgets. If you have any questions about this or any other topic, feel free to give us a call here at Tigunia. We'll be glad to help you with anything that you might need. Have a good day.